Now, the Uniting Church Stamp Committee started some 30 years ago, and over that time has consistently raised a certain amount of money every year. It's quite a unique and unlikely achievement. Now, Alistair, as well as being president of the Stamp Committee, you're also a former moderator of the Uniting Church in New South Wales and ACT. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Keith, for the opportunity.
When were you moderator? Just remind us.
2002 to 2004.
Now, we're not coming here to talk about that, but have you got a memory of that time that to you is very special?
Some really top memories, Keith. I remember meeting some of the Islamic leaders from the Anzac Mosque who wanted to be able to begin to establish relationship with the Christian Church.
Yes.
And with the Uniting Church in particular, because they understand the Uniting Church's outreach to all people.
And I think that today that's a very relevant theme, isn't it? Especially
Yes.
as we come
Yes.
to that times when we want to be together and realise that we're all human beings.
Yes.
And pain is pain, whatever.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Look, let's talk about the Stamp Committee. When you think of the term Stamp Committee, it might just conjure up in people's minds something, you know, quite archaic, you know, and out of date, you know. But what is the committee? Tell us a bit about it.
The Stamp Committee is made up of a group of people who meet in Sydney, but hundreds of people within the Synod, New South Wales and the ACT, who volunteer to collect used stamps, to trim the stamps, to sort them when they can, and to send them to Sydney to the group who work in the stamp room, which is located in Pilgrim House in Pitt Street.
Well, and they meet there regularly. It's been going on for 30 years. How long have you been involved?
About 20 years, something like that.
Right.
A bit more.
And they use it and they raise money. I mean, what are you talking about here? $10? Or what are we talking about when they raise money?
Well, since the group began in 1977, there's $714,000 been raised.
Yes.
Last year, there was $21,000 raised, and already in 2016, since the 19th of January, there's over $4,000
So
raised.
basically, this money then adds as, if you like, seed funding to enable God's work to go on in various ways.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's stamp dealers who buy, but there's also those people who have their collections and want to add to their personal collections can come in and go through the stock books that are available. And there's 20 plus countries in which stamps are available, so people can come in and buy what they want. So it's quite an interesting time. There's not a lot of noise in the stamp room at any time because people are sorting the stamps that have come in.
Yeah.
Or they're looking for stamps.
Searching for that one in that particular set that they don't really have.
That one, yes.
Yeah.
So the stamp room's open on Tuesday mornings and Friday mornings. Tuesdays, people can buy in bulk as well as search for themselves. And on Friday, it's just for people who are looking for their
And for viewers, they'll be able to see some of those stamps that
Yep.
we have that you've got there.
I understand that.
Yeah,
Yes,
and that gives a picture. There's one of the Harbour Bridge, really, which is a lovely one. There's some of the pictures it's from. What year was the stamps of Harbour Bridge done? Are they quite old, or is it? It looks like they're from the earliest days, aren't they?
Those are postcards that people are
Of the
looking at.
1930s when the bridge was developed.
When the bridge was opened. And
Yeah. So when people collect, look, this is the big, you know, the $64,000. Can people give to this? If anybody's got a stamp collection?
Too right, Keith.
We better ask the question, haven't we?
Yes. A lot of nowadays, there's a lot of stuff coming in, and I say stuff, but a lot of collections coming in from people who can no longer care for it themselves.
Yes.
Or sometimes part of deceased estates when families don't want to carry on. So those come in and they go to auction, as do sometimes individual stamps, as do postcards.
So if you've got a collection at home that's been handed to you and you don't know what to do with it, here's a way in which you can do something with it, but it'll have a good purpose, won't it?
It will, because well, it used to be every year and sometimes a couple of times a year, but we advertise when applications are being sought for funding.
Yeah.
And people can apply for funding for something in their community, for something in their congregation.
Yeah.
Now,
usually something new or different, or something that they're trying to do.
Yes, something that they're starting off. Originally, the applications came through each of the individual synod boards, but nowadays it's a bit more...
Are there any memorable stamps, you think, that if your committee was sitting down that they've ever seen?
Always there's an interest in Christmas stamps, and stamps, postcards, all kinds of things that come from locally and overseas. Sometimes people have a fascination for the royal family. You wouldn't believe that, would you? But there are people who have collections solely on the royal family or on Australian stamps, and some of those people will be looking at behind.
Alistair, stay with me for a minute or two,
yes.
And I'll come back to you just at the end of the show. But this is certainly something that helps to foster relationships. It's great for the team that's involved in it. Now, Alistair, just quickly, if someone was thinking of getting involved in a local church or in a ministry that gave them the opportunity, such as the Stamp Committee, to socialise and interact with others, what would you say to them?
Picking up on what you've already said, Keith, I often say to people, if the Spirit prompts you, just do it.
Yes, yes. Don't hold back.
Don't hold back, just do it.
Alistair, thank you for being so straight and direct about that. We all know that that's important in our lives.